pawns, man, in the game, they get capped quick. They be out the game early.
Unless they some smart-ass pawns.
This is not meth.
Hello. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
I picked a bad time to put my AirPod in. Hi, my name is Cody Newberry, and I'm very fucking mad. Everything I said about The Wire, I take back. If you've watched this episode, which you should before you watch us talk about this, and you're not mad, find the nearest door, put a belt, and just sit down. First up, Matt. Apparently you and Mark have been anticipating this moment for a whole long time. How are you? How was your viewing experience? You had the roughest situation of watching 3 episodes of us.
I don't know. I'd much rather be in this chair than Mark's chair tonight. So
100%. But he's defending the builder of the Titanic.
It's been a fun journey watching Cody fall in love with a certain character and all of his exploits and things. When I knew this moment was going to come, but yeah, I'm definitely it's going to be a good episode, I think. But yeah, we're winding down. We only got one more weeks of shows after this, so yeah, I'm looking forward to tonight.
And Mark, you rat bastard, how are you doing?
Listen, I'm doing great. It's a great week. Got to watch some great episodes. And oh yeah, that team I drafted during the show last week, James Cook is playing in this Thursday game, and he's murdering the Dolphins right now. So it's a great day to be me. Okay, we're gonna start with Mark because middle is Oz now. We didn't really have a discussion. It was a pretty easy conversation. But I would consider an episode from Breaking Bad as it is in my eyes the greatest episode of TV ever. Most of the public also believes that. So we're going to save that for the end, even though me and Mark may hit the 50-minute mark for a while, just yelling. But we got to get through episode 7 before we get to episode 8. So you at least get some peacetime before that shit happens. All right. Okay. Here we go. So number 7 got Took. Start out with kind of wonder where this is gonna go. Start out with the fake call. Fake call, cold open. Lester, McNulty, gonna hammer in like their plan to kind of heighten up the homeless serial killer. He makes a call to our favorite lion reporter saying, "Hey, why do you say when I'm doing a sexual, I'm not doing anything sexual. I'm gonna bite you." Gets all in tizzy, and then police track the call. Sidner's over there with the dummy cell phone. He manages to escape the cops. Honestly, kind of a really cool, kind of thrilling scene. Kind of definitely a kind of from the normal TV, kind of heightened show that I think I think The Wire kind of pulls off pretty well.
It's awful. I get why people were frustrated. This serial killer angle is getting creepier and creepier by the episode. So I get why they're doing it. I just hate it. It's weird.
All right. Over to Clay. Meets with his own Johnny Cochran lawyer.
gets to defend him because his trial's coming up. So he's got to be ready to defend himself. McNulty going to talk to Scott about his call experience because, he's reeling in talking to the serial killer, again, which he himself, said, yeah, totally. I can't believe I talked to this guy again. Oh, yeah. And he apparently has a big, thick Baltimore accent. Didn't notice that the first time, but, I'm noticing that now. So got that. And Omar, he had a stash house, flush drugs down the toilet, see a couple guys like go in there and see what he did. One of them is actually a character from old, is a good old Savino Braden. Remember him from season 1. He was the one that got arrested when Greggs was shot. McNulty gets Phelan to update the wiretap to include pictures because that was all the thing that happened there is like he sent the reporter a picture of the guy that McNulty, kidnapped. So now like they have it include pictures, which will help out Lester take down Marlowe because now you can see the pictures that Marlowe's taken with all his guys. Arquette gets excited about raising a lot of money for his governor campaign, but his balloon is immediately popped when he hears the killer made a call. He gets all pissed. He's got to hear this from Rawls. We finally now get the police and the newspaper honing in on the homeless murder case. The cops are going to unload all their resources to it. They're finally spending money to kind of put down this case because now it hit a real high profile, and the newspaper is now seeing that the story now has legs, and they're going to report the shit out of it. And we all see like as Michael is arrested like for reasons unknown right now. McNulty gets another detective to come across him. Like he's upset because he has an easy way to make a case go from red to black. Needs a couple guys to stake it out. McNulty's like, hey, I got all these guys in the world. I can just help you. I can just send you a couple guys surveillance and I'll cover you for it. Is that going? And Michael is actually taken to Bunk, being questioned about the murder of his stepdad because Bunk, he's not an idiot. He knows that the stepdad was definitely murdered by Chris, trying to feel out Michael for it. Michael doesn't give up anything. Hema starts interviewing the families of the victims. Of course, they're very upset about it. Their boy may have been killed by the sexual serial killer. Gus gets an argument about an article that Scott wrote, kind of making him seem like some hero or to the homeless, or really making himself seem like there's some type of righteous asshole. He has his reservations, but the other two, Gail Bedecker and that other guy, are like, you know what? Nah, we're good with this. We just want to report the story. Like it reads good. I don't know what your problem is, Gus. McNulty starts to feel the pressure of the case getting recognized. Makes clear to Lester they got to wrap this up fast. Although Lester is now not sure what to do here. Another detective also approaching McNulty. Word is starting to get out that McNulty's starting to hand out favors of all this money. People are coming to get him on this. On order from Gus, Fletcher goes to a local soup kitchen, starts interviewing people. He ends up meeting everybody's favorite clean drug guy, Bubbles. And then getting to probably the real meat of this episode, the trial for Clay Davis begins. Gets up there with his lawyer, heads up into the court. We start interviewing Lester. Of course, the defense attorney has no questions for Lester. He knows like Lester's going to eat him alive but he has many questions for Donnell Rawlins' character, who in that question does not go very well. Donnell Rawlins is not as skilled as a talker as most people would feel like he is. Definitely does not look like a super credible witness. Lester and Sidner get their first picture message from Marlowe's crew, and they see a clock. They don't know what to make of it. Doesn't make any sense from how like their movements are going, so they know that we're probably going to need some people to actually make these clock messages make sense. And again, we got our detective coming over with McNulty, and Bubbles takes Fletcher out to the homeless community, starts interviewing them. He is really thankful about it, but I think he kind of notices. I think there's maybe something here with Bubbles. Bubbles like maybe seems like an interesting guy here. Omar catches up to Savino on the streets. He recognizes him from the old Barksdale days. And, asking him a couple questions, he gets fed up with his bullshit, and Omar shoots his goddamn head off in the middle of the street. So, chalk 1 kill up to Omar there.
Congrats.
Gus is feeling a little uneasy about this whole Scott situation. Ends up meeting with his old pal Dennis, the major from the Western. Say, hey, got this guy Scott. He's he had this story about this lady died from seafood. It said there's a bit of misidentity. Like what's the deal there? And he's like, yeah, like what we told you is probably bullshit. Doesn't make any fucking sense. He's probably lying about the whole thing. So Gus is now further on the fact that good old Scott probably just full of shit about everything. Omar then robs Michael's corner. Runs up on Michael. Michael tells him he killed Savino, and keeps spreading the message that Marlo is a bitch. He won't meet up with him in the streets. He doesn't have the heart to do it. All that type of stuff. And Michael is just relieved that Omar didn't recognize him for a moment's part. Finally, Clay is put on the stand. And, man, can that motherfucker talk? Clay just goes on. Like his defense attorney, I don't know, Mr. Davis. I don't know if I believe you got none of this. And Clay Davis is like, what? Like, I got all this money, and like this lady tells me I gotta pay my asthma doctor. I gotta bail my son out of jail. I gotta bury my father. And he's like, I'm not gonna ask that asthmatic woman, for a receipt. And he fucking gives this to the jury, and they fucking buy it.
If I get out, I'll do the same thing
buying
tomorrow.
it up.
I was buying. I was like,
Clay's dirty as hell, but I was about to.
I was like, this. I was like, these guys are the worst defense attorneys I've ever seen in my life, because they were just clearly just cooking.
Gets a straight up applause from the audience.
Yeah.
Clay is acquitted. All this evidence, all this work on investigating Clay Davis 5-6 years doesn't fucking matter. Bond rightly says, what the fuck just happened? And I will include the very first quote that we've ever had, from the very beginning, because I think it's probably one of their best. Rhonda replies, whatever it was, they don't teach it in law school.
Yeah.
So, finally get over to Tommy. Tommy has his people. Tommy's being told by his people, hey, we can keep going on this homeless matter, all this, keeping the shelters open, giving all the cops all this money, but, we're going to be spending a lot. It's probably going to, come to bite our ass when we got to, restructure the budget. Gus talks to a fellow reporter. Rebecca brings up the stupid ass story that they published. And Gus is pretty open about his dealings with Scott. He's like, I don't know, can't trust him. I'm pretty sure he came to him about a correction. Pretty sure it was bullshit. So he is 100% on Scott's ass now. And then we end off the episode with a nice little note of Kima, who throughout the episode was bitching and whining about putting together some furniture. Gets to spend the night with her son Elijah, and she sings her own cop version of Goodnight Moon just to get him to go to sleep. And that's the end of Took. It's great. I'm pretty sure we'll have a nice discussion here, and it's gonna be smooth sailing from here on out.
Yeah, last good episode of The Wire. Yeah, it was really good. I thought can you explain this $11,000 that went in? No, I don't have a receipt, because when I came back with it, this person he just was painting. I was like, and just everybody was sitting there. It's like, you don't grow up where I grew up. You don't live where I live. You don't know what we go through. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, he's getting off. Still hate the serial killer stuff. I think it's stupid, but again, it is what it is. We're this far along, so hopefully Jimmy like faces hard time for it or something. I don't know at this point. It's just wild. But overall, good episode.
Yeah. The one thing about the serial killer aspect I will say is that the police response time in Baltimore was amazing at the beginning of this episode. They were there like 30 seconds after that phone call was over. And the helicopters and everything. So, but yeah, this is really great. The Clay Davis stuff that's all amazing. That whole trial. Pretty much, we knew this was going to happen. They had the head shot, but they didn't want to take it because they didn't want the case to go federal. So, and then they kind of underestimated Clay. I mean, Clay, you don't get to that point in politics without being able to kind of talk to the people and get them on your side. But yeah, and I think definitely one of the key sequences in this episode too is when Omar comes down on Michael's corner and just kind of limping around, and Kennard, who's kind of idolized Omar since back in season 3, where we saw him playing around pretending to be Omar, and then he's like, that's Omar. And you can just see the disappointment in him. It's just yeah, so
I didn't notice that.
yeah.
And never fucking Kennard played fucking Omar. That Jesus Christ.
Yeah, in season 3, after that little shootout there, when Button came to investigate, he was the little kid pretending to be Omar.
That really, I mean, I'm gonna bring that up later. Yeah, this episode's fantastic. I freaking love this episode. Yeah, I feel like kind of the serial killer stuff's really kind of come into its own here, just in the sense of like how much it's been building, and then finally Jimmy's gotten into the point where now people are paying attention, and now he's suddenly annoyed everybody's paying attention. It's like, why are they bothering me? Like, I've only been trying to convince them it's a red ball, and now you're bothering me because it's turned into a fucking red ball. Like, I just kind of love how everything's progressed up to this point. But yeah, everything else on the streets, all Omar's doing is really great. How he's alone, one good leg, but he's still fucking everybody's shit up. It's great.
He probably should have taken some time to kind of lay low and recover a little bit, maybe, before he's going to go up against Marlowe's people and stuff. But he's not maybe thinking straight.
Not his fucking style, man. He's like, I don't need 2 legs to take down fucking Marlowe Stanfield. And yeah, this is just the wire politics at its absolute best, because they had Clay Davis. They had the fucking evidence on him. They had the case. Like, fucking Lester and Sidner, they handed it to them on a silver platter. But stupid Bond just wants to, he sees himself being mayor or a governor or whatever the fuck bullshit. He's like, I can use Clay Davis's carcass to move up. And he fucks the dog on it. Like, it's incredible. Because it's entirely his fault. There's nobody else to blame, because he thought it was a good idea. Hey, what if I give Clay Davis an opportunity to talk? Are you the dumbest motherfucker ever? Like, what are you doing? Like this ended exactly the way that it should have.
Mm-hmm.
And like another thing we're going to talk about next episode, it happened the way that it was meant to. The way that the show has built things up, the way the show has developed certain stories, this was always going to happen. It was never going to happen any other way. And at the end of the day, for all the people involved in the Clay Davis trial, they have only themselves to blame. All right.
I love that they build up characters. That's great.
All right, I gotta get ready for the main event. Okay. Go. Episode 8. Clarifications. Absolutely. Start off our cold open. McNulty briefing the bosses in the Comstat. He's telling them what he knows about this homeless serial killer. Everybody's kind of asking McNulty questions. He seems to have answers. Although he mentions that, we need some surveillance teams. We need to kind of be out there in the homeless community. You know what? I got a guy just for the job. I got my boy Ellis Carver. I think he's surveillance experience. He knows what to do. And of course, the mayor's like, all right, whatever, use it. You guys got carte blanche. You do what you got to do. So the mayor's ready to just pile money in this until it's solved. From the illustrious words of Bill Rawls, the bad news is we're actually going to have to catch this motherfucker. And go into the real episode. Dookie still searching for a job. And he runs into Poot, and he has kind of a nice moment with Poot. And honestly, really kind of one of the more better case scenarios, what happens in the drug game. You do it for a while, go to prison, and then eventually, you're working at a fucking Foot Locker or something. That's, but, Doogie doesn't get a job. He's too young. And that seems to be the theme wherever he goes. McNulty approaches Carver. He tells him, hey, I'm going to use your guys to, help me out with this homeless thing. But, I actually don't need any help with this homeless thing. But Lester got a thing out on Marlowe. He has an in. And Carver's like, yeah, he's got a wire up. I gave him the phone number 2 weeks ago. Like, who are you talking to right now? Like, who are you trying to bullshit at this point? Although McNulty is able to talk him into it. I don't know what happened. McNulty is able to talk him into it. He was able to get that going. Oh, wow. Okay. Football things, guys. Okay. McNulty's able to talk Carver into it as long as, none of his guys get fucked over. Carcetti's people were able to shift that budget around. They're able to make it so, we can spend money on the shelters, spend money on the police, and it not fuck us over too much politically. We don't have to lay off any more teachers, but they make it pretty clear that we gotta see a crime, we gotta see a drop in crime, or you're kind of fucked politically. Like it's got to happen in the next 2 quarters, no matter what. Michael tells Chris and Snoop about his interaction with Omar. He tells him, yeah, Omar's been talking a whole lot of shit. Say, Marlowe's a bitch. He ain't got no heart, stuff like that. And Chris and Snoop are like, yeah, we don't need to bother Marlowe with all this shit. And like Michael's like, what the fuck you talking about? Like, we killed Junebug because he called Marlowe a dick sucker, and we're just gonna kind of let Omar just get away with this bunch of bullshit. And of course, he gets taken down a peg for that. Bunk then goes to McNulty, asks him to help with the lab work to help put down the vacant murders because he finally got DNA on Chris, and he asks McNulty to frontline it so he can figure out that's Chris's DNA or not. The veteran who Scott was talking to about that old army story about the guy getting his hands blown off in Fallujah, I believe, makes an appearance at the Sun paper headquarters. And he says, hey, that story that your guy wrote is a bunch of bullshit. None of it happened. He totally exaggerated everything in it. And I didn't tell him any of that. And of course, they get in a meeting, and Scott is like, I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. You definitely told me that. We were sitting there eating donuts, drinking coffee. He's like, oh, we're drinking coffee, huh? You say we're drinking coffee, you fucking asshole. Like, so he's angry. And Gus is like, listen, yeah, I know you homeless. You maybe like to drink. And he's like, yeah, I don't sleep under a bridge fucking sober. Of course, I have a drink. Like, well, maybe you could have, told a little bit of tall tale. He'd maybe misspoke your words. Like, yeah, I don't know. I don't. He's like, I don't speak bullshit on, my overseas stories. So that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. By the end of that, Gus tells Scott, hey, we're going to figure this out, get to the bottom of it. But if we figure it out, we lied. We're going to put out a correction. And then, of course, at the end, the veteran does tell Gus that, yeah, we're also, we're drinking chocolate milk. That coffee, that was a lie too, which really hilarious that Scott lied about that. Drinking coffee. Now getting to Omar. Walking throughout the street. He actually has like kind of a nice plan. He sees a cop, just kind of in an unmarked car. Says, hey, like there's guys like selling drugs on the corner over here. He walks through a back alley, in which we see like Kennard and like a bunch of kids like about to like burn a cat, which is like this like one of the weirdest things. Like such an antisocial asshole, like putting lighter fluid on a fucking cat.
Yeah.
Everybody runs except the one kid that's still holding the cat and still applying to it when Omar walks away. Like, what the fuck is wrong with this kid?
Well, we already saw in the last episode, he realized that Omar's kind of not a big deal right now. He's not scared of Omar.
Yeah.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
after Omar's tip, cops arrest everybody in this corner. They take all the muscle out. Of course, Marlo limps up there, takes her stash, throws it down the sewer. Correctly calls out the window in which they are holding all the money and I guess all the extra drugs. Drops it also into the sewer. Tells everybody, I'm out here in these streets. Where's Marlo? He's fucking nowhere. He's being a little bitch. You tell them he's not a man for this town. Marlo then, Omar decides he needs a pack of smokes. Heads over to a corner store. Tells the lady behind the counter, hey, give me a pack of Newport. We hear a ring in the store. Omar takes a look. You see him look back. Oh yeah, give me a pack of boom. Fucking shot in the head. He's fucking dead. Goes to the fucking ground. We see Kennard holding the fucking gun. Fucking dismayed by what he sees. He's giving him a little poke. Omar's fucking dead. Bullet in the back of the head. Now, word's getting out. The homicide's called. They're like, hey, called bunk over. Sees it, can't believe it. Sees Omar a fucking bullet in his head. Tells it like, oh, it was some short guy. Put the bullet in him. People like fucking rummage through his pockets and shit. And Bunk finds a little slip of paper of Omar's hit list, which unfortunately it was only Savino. Savino was the only guy he was able to get to. Monk, Chris, Snoop, Marlo, all those guys didn't have time to get over there. Word does seem to travel fast because Chris and Snoop were going to tell Marlo, hey, don't worry, we're on it. And Marlo is like, hey, fuck you talking about? Fucking Omar's dead. Fucking got shot in a grocery store. And like, I didn't get any more details. A lot of you guys are going to tell me. But you know what? We're good, to keep doing our shit. Keep ramping up and soon later go on to Atlantic City, kind of pull all this shit out. McNulty and Kimo then go to Chronicles. Put up FBI profiler on the killer and sounds really familiar whenever they put all the details together. Kind of sounds like Jimmy saying, hey, we got probably a 30s guy in a public service role, probably functioning alcoholic, has a problem with authority. I don't know. It could be fucking anybody. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Fletcher gets an attaboy from Gus about his homeless story, but he tells him, hey, like I had a guide, this guy named Reginald Cousins. I thought that was weird hearing fucking Bubbles' birth name, Reginald Cousins. Like saying, hey, I think this guy may be the story. And Gus tells him, yeah, you know what, go ahead. Just go hit him up. See what shakes out there. And we hear Alma comes to Gus for the crime stories of the day. One of them is Omar's death, and the other one is a fire that killed like 3 people or something. And here's, hey, we only have room to run one story, and Gus is like, well, run the fire story, just cut the other thing out. Like, yeah, we don't know, like we don't got the room. So that's how they report it. Tommy meets a congressman that feels snubbed over a county that he has to win for the governorship. Tries to convince him to not let their other guy run because Tommy's the only viable candidate who can win. Of course, Tommy unfortunately has to make a deal there. Nolte comes back to an empty house. Beatty is starting to get fed up with his shit. Definitely trying to send a message there. Bunk gets the DNA analysis back, and it matches Chris. for the murder of Michael's stepdad. We now have a bona fide possible murder conviction for Chris Partlow, so he's probably going down. Lester goes to the FBI, try to give him the evidence on Clay Davis, his headshot evidence. They're like, yeah, we're not. He just beat a city case. He just beat a city case. We're not going to go federal and have this bullshit happen with a white jury. Yeah, we're not going to, do that shit. You can take this on down the road. So Lester has no luck. Bunk tells Jimmy about the positive lab work on Chris and Omar's death, because Jimmy had not heard about that. Hands him like that little slip about everything that Omar is trying to get to. Jimmy does tell them hold the warrant until they arrest Marlowe. Bunk's not cool with that, but he got McNulty got the DNA work done, so he's fine with it. Immediately after that, another detective comes up to Jimmy. He's like, "Hey, I got this connection with this case," and he's like, "You think you help me out?" And Jimmy's like, "Yeah, I don't see any fucking connection, man. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about." And then that guy goes on to blackmail Jimmy because he knows Jimmy's handing out favors. So we're now seeing this house cards, possibly start to tumble on old Jimmy here. Lester and Sidney are using Carver's men. They're kind of following around Marlowe's people. They're trying to find a connection with the picture of the clock, kind of seeing it, kind of all these different hand movements. They still don't really know what to make of it. When Dookie's looking for a job, comes across a guy picking up junk, ends up joining him for the day. Kind of finally found something that he may be able to do on the day-to-day basis. McNulty then sees Kima, about to dive headfirst into the homeless case. Sees her getting up a bunch of piles of profiles of sex offenders. She was going to cross-reference with their FBI profile. Jimmy just couldn't let her do it. So then he breaks the truth to old Kima. And Kima knows, and she is not happy. McNulty then meets up with Lester, tells him that Kima knows. Also hands him a note from from Omar. Tells him something he didn't know, because he did not know that Cheese was now a part of Marlowe's crew. That he knew he was getting pictures somewhere else. He didn't know who it was. Realized, oh, this is probably Cheese. So now he's able to make a connection here with these messages and these clock messages. So now he probably has something to put together there. Carcetti then holds a candlelight vigil for those homeless murders. He continues to hammer away the homeless issue, really politicizing the shit out of it, trying to build up any momentum he can for that governor's race. Lester meets up with Clay at a bar. Goes up to him, is like, "Hey, no, you're able to beat that city case. You beat all the evidence that I put together. You think you can do that with a federal jury?" He's like, "Yeah, what the fuck are you talking about?" He hands him the good old headshot evidence. He's like, "You know what? You better show this to your lawyer, see where your exposure is, and when you wise up, you can meet up with me again to give me some information." So Lester, is taking a note from McNulty's book and say, "Yeah, I'm just gonna do this shit myself, since the fucking lawyers and the courts aren't going to do this shit for me." Gus gets into it at Scott for a quote that he wrote, because he suspects that it's a bunch of bullshit. It's unnamed homeless woman. He only went to a candlelight vigil of a bunch of homeless people there who'd be willing to tell their stories. But yeah, this person doesn't want to give their name for some unknown fucking reason. Of course, Scott brings us up to Gail Bedecker, the old editor. Said, "Hey, why are you spiking the story?" He's like, "Well, we got standards over here in the newsroom. We want to provide sources, and this motherfucker thinks he can just playing loosey goosey with the facts over here. So you know what? I feel like I did my job, and I'm gonna go home. You can kiss my fucking ass." But yeah, Gus has had it up here with Scott shit. He doesn't want to hear any more of this lying motherfucker's mouth. Tommy breaks down the deals with his wife whenever he sees her in person. Does sound like old Tommy is starting to sell out Baltimore a little bit. Starting to sell liquor board seats over to Clay Davis to help him out with that. He's got to, broker a deal with some money to that congressman that he snubbed. So Tommy's definitely starting to, definitely lean more to the bad side than the good side, especially he has that old governor seat right in his right in front of him. Beatty finally comes home, talks about their future with Jimmy, trying to get him to see the light on that. He, of course, is feeling all shitty about it, seeing kind of everything that's going on, starting to get blackmailed, seeing like how much the serial killer case is really ramping up, and he breaks to her too. Tells him, "Hey, this is all bullshit. I made it up. I don't know where all this is coming from." And of course, she's upset because like he had no fucking rights in my life too. Like didn't really know what to say to him, and honestly, most of us don't know either because McNulty is just really putting the fucking salt in the wounds here. Although Sidner is able to break the code on the clocks, realizes that they are using the hands to show like the pages on the map and to call out locations of probably dead drops throughout the city. They realize that they are locations in both West and East Baltimore. Lester and Sidney are able to deduce that Marlowe is now the drug kingpin of all of Baltimore, not just the West Side. And now that they know, they're able to kind of better take down Marlowe because at least they know the code at this point. And as they break the code, Kima walks in, realizes they got to wire up, and before Lester can explain anything, she runs out of there. Obviously upset, definitely not seeing the progress or kind of hopes of maybe what they're trying to do here. And we now end on the morgue, where Morgue is trying to identify the bodies he got today. Sees that this Omar's bag has kind of a weird name, doesn't understand it. Looks and realizes, Omar's tag is on this white dude's body bag. Makes a switch, zips up the bag, thus putting a pin on Omar's story. And that is clarifications. All right, go nuts.
I stopped giving a shit what you said after Omar died, because all that episode is fucking bullshit. So this show lost me 100%. Like, what's the fucking point? Why bring him back at all? Like, there was no benefit this season to bring him back. Because all they did was they set up a cool angle and then just pissed down their legs. Oh, they torture the one guy, they kill him, they wake up the boogeyman, they get him back where he's supposed to be. They give him a hit list of people he runs down, and he fucking gets one, and no one on the list gets him. Like, why make him survive the shootout in the top of the fourth floor where he jumps out the building? Like, what's the point? Like, all this was for nothing. The Omar story was one of the most complex. Even like Stringer got like a send off, like, and his coming made perfect sense. Like, if I would be okay if any of the group got him. The group doesn't get him.
Omar's not going to get got in the game because Omar's the boogeyman. You can't get him in the game.
But that's where stupid where the kid gets him.
That's because he didn't see it.
And it's so anticlimactic. It's out of nowhere. They don't spend any time on it. It's literally just like I think his contract was up because like he couldn't make 2 more shoots. Like, what are we doing here? Like, there was no rhyme or reason. There was no indication. There was nothing leading towards it. There was no signs. There was nothing. He doesn't even get the fucking Cheerio, the cereal he wants. If he picked it up and was like, "You finally," and then got shot, I'd be like, "Well, that's comedic and dumb, but I'll take it." It's just they have such a great character and they waste him for a bunch of non-interesting characters to keep it going. Like, I get it. it's a police procedural. So you have to like run down the criminal at the end of the day. So the criminal versus criminal doesn't need to work. We already had that in season 3 when Stringer got caught. Got we had that, so we needed it this way. He starts gunning down different people. It's like the writer found like, well, fuck, he broke his leg. Like, fuck, we made him break his leg, so we don't really. He's now a gimp, so we kind of like lost all that. So let's just kill him. Who should kill him? Fucking kid? Like, that sounds right. You're like, what? What? Like, none of it made sense, Mark. Like, if this is your favorite show of all time, the first time you watched that, like, I paced around my house for like 30 minutes. I didn't even finish the episode. I waited till later because I couldn't give a shit less. Because we spent so much time on other shit at the end, and it's like, it's not only every person that's died has got like something, like it's lingers, people are affected. Nope. Gone. Like, it didn't matter. Like, the boogeyman really got slayed. There was really zero reaction. This is, of all episodes leading up to, this is the laziest I've ever seen this show be. And season 2 exists. So it's really confusing why did they just not have a like, somebody pitched something. How do you not have a better ending for Omar?
I mean, what's the better ending for Omar? Marlo kills him. Chris kills
him. Marlo gets Omar gets him, like, and he just disappears.
Is that a story though that Omar just limps up and gets killed?
Yes, he disappears.
For his character.
Well, let me tell you, Matt, this isn't good for his character because it's fucking stupid.
I mean, it just shows that, like, in the game, you couldn't get Omar. It's just sometimes in life, unexpected things happen.
Right. No, I get that viewpoint. If that's how they set up the world of The Wire, I get you. I understand you. They don't set up the world of what they basically go against their entire world of what they've created. If it was like a plan, if we saw this plan go down, if they designed this way, no, don't give me the face. No, you're not going to get there. If they set up this plan, if this was the plan and it executed, that's fine. A little kid just goes in and goes, I'll just take one for the team. What are we doing?
I mean, like I said, they've set that up because like I said, in season 3, we had that kid idolizing Omar, and that kid has had a vicious streak all last season. That kid was kid.
Yeah, but he has no ties to Omar besides idolizing him, and we have no real turn to why he decides to take Omar out.
Well, because we saw him, he sees Omar as like, that's Omar, that's the guy that everyone's so afraid of.
Wow. You know what? You guys can sell yourselves on the worst shit possible. You know, I hope Kima just shoots fucking McNulty next episode. Why? Doesn't make any fucking sense, but let's just do it because, like, why not? Fucking dumb. Like, they just ruined it. They just gave away a character for no reason whatsoever.
I mean, the thing that made me think of today was No Country for Old Men. It's kind of similar to that sort of thing. Where
I don't need my Wire to be fucking No Country for Old Men. Because no season leading up to it was fucking No Country for Old Men.
Okay.
Go ahead. I'd love to see this dance. Please show me. Show me the themes and the character moments and the plot holes that I'm missing. Why Omar needed to be taken out by a child. Please.
I'm just gonna let you vent on that one all day. Because, like, listen, I knew this was coming. The moment you're like, man,
your first time watching, what's your reaction? Similar?
In all honesty, my first
or did it make sense to you?
Oh, hold on.
No.
I let you go. I let you go the whole time. My first time watching, I honestly didn't really even notice it at first. Like, it was kind of because I felt like we were on kind of a transition moment. I think I was kind of looking at my phone, heard the pop, like, what the fuck's going on? I see Omar on the ground. I was surprised as shit. It's honestly I feel like I think throw what you feel about the actual death aside. The actual moment where he gets killed is fucking perfect.
No.
Because you don't see it coming at all. It comes out of fucking nowhere. And especially like in times when like everything is fucking choreographed and we feel like we always got to lead to something. Like, because we're going to, not to say like it's a bad thing, but like there's a death we're going to talk about later that, albeit is really good, and they build to it as perfectly as they can. We know it's going to happen by the way they set it up. This just comes out of the fucking blue, and there's kind of a beauty to that.
No, it's not, because the problem is your exact viewing perspective. It did. I'm okay with a shot kill. That does not bother me. The time and place makes no fucking sense. If he walks out of that store and gets gunned down by all the people waiting for him, totally justifiable. I think it's crazy to pull the trigger there, but they do it. They do this to a fucking child. They make the child, and then it's not only the kill. The kill doesn't matter. What the rest of the Wire group reacts to the death, it's nothing. They were more mortified and worried about Stringer's death. They were like, Omar's dead. All right, peace.
Well, I mean, they haven't been investigating Omar.
It doesn't matter. He's been there. He's been a crucial part and been in every fucking mess of the entire 5 seasons to this point. And then when they would react more to Bubbles' death. They would be blown away.
I feel like we're talking about two different things. Because you bring up Stringer dying. Yeah, we are, because Stringer was the main target of their fucking case for 3 seasons. Of course, they're going to feel differently about him.
Oh, and Omar was the mailman.
They definitely interacted with Omar, but they didn't really have any connection. When was the last fucking time that Jimmy talked with Omar? Like when he locked him up, when he had that 5-minute conversation, he has no real.
It's not only Jimmy. I don't give a fucking Jimmy's not even Jimmy at this point. He's fucking Hannibal Lecter. Who cares? I'm talking about like Marlo and that entire gang. They just brush over it like it was nothing.
Yeah, he's dead. Who cares? He's gone.
They wanted him dead. Now he's dead. They're happy. Yeah. You could tell Chris looked a little disappointed because Chris wanted to take him out.
Yeah, and also like.
But why is the point of bringing him back? Tell me what the point. No one said this yet. What's the point of bringing him back? Why?
Because he insulted Marlo.
Marlo doesn't even kill him. This season's 2 stars. I'm not moving past it. It's 2 stars. I don't care how the last 2 episodes. It's 2 stars. This season sucks.
Listen,
fucking garbage.
There is a point, like at least on that I'm gonna hold because I think it kind of holds more weight kind of later on. I'll save that one. But the thing, like, I will vehemently disagree with you on this one is the Wire has been setting this up since its entire run. Like, I think you argue that it's really anticlimactic, but the Wire has been anticlimactic from the fucking start.
No.
Yes, it has.
Fucking false. Fucking false. Are you high? Yeah, Stringer's death was anticlimactic as a crap.
Fucking season 1. Yeah, we arrest like fuck. Yeah, we arrest like fucking Avon. We don't fucking get Stringer. We get Avon like for like 2 fucking years. Like, so fucking what? Like, they don't like put a crack in the drug infrastructure at all. Like, everything keeps fucking going. It doesn't matter. Season 2.
Mark.
No, hold on.
You're wrong.
I let you talk.
You're wrong.
I let you talk the whole fucking time.
You're wrong.
Season 2. They don't fucking arrest anybody. The main drug people fucking get away.
Can I say something?
No, you fucking talk the whole time.
First one, they catch everybody. Second one, Frank's death.
Like, what are you
They catch everybody besides Stringer. They catch every fucking person besides Stringer. Second episode.
Like, there's still a whole fucking drug network out there.
Yeah, the ones we care so much about. Second one, who is it? What death is led to at that one? Frank's?
What are you talking about? They still don't fucking catch anybody.
No, it didn't matter. This isn't about catching. You're trying to sell 2 different things, and you're a fucking idiot for doing it. I'm not talking about what they catch, what the fucking Wire put together, because none of their shit holds. They're stupid cops. None of it fucking works. I'm talking about when they do deaths in this show. Deaths in the show matter, and that's the one thing that they've always fucked us with. D'Angelo's death, regardless how stupid it was, was a building block. Frank with the Greeks walking down to the pier, knowing that he's going to show up in a bag. Third stringer getting gunned down by everybody in the two guys with Omar led to brutal moments that happened all this time. Omar, move on. That it's not Wire. It doesn't fit the killing.
That all those other characters had other things around them that continued going on, whereas Omar is just got Omar. And Omar gone, what's Omar get?
No. Oh my God. I want to just fucking move on to Oz because you guys are the dumbest human beings I've ever talked to in my life. Because the problem with this season was you would have been 100% justified if that was the case. But they made a fucking point to torture a guy and bring him back and put him in a shootout that he could have died there. Instead, they shoot him in a gas station, in a convenience store. It's fucking dumb. It makes no sense.
So
and
you would have been much happier if Omar would have just died in that apartment.
Yes. If that's what you're going to do to him. But if Mark wants to sell me that it's like, oh, it's shocking because it's just by surprise, fuck off. If this was Twiddly Dinks that sold drugs one time, it's fucking Omar and a child shot him in the head. And it wasn't even like him begging for his life or trying to like talk him out of it. It was boom, done. Stupid. Even if he walked by the kid and punched him or pushed him down or did something stupid, maybe nothing. It doesn't lead. It doesn't do anything. And it's a wasted death. And The Wire does not do this in any other season. When a real death happens, they do not do it in a flash moment. And then once the flash moment happens, there's actually something that follows. Why bring him back? Why have him had a hit list? Why make him only hit one person? You know why? Because they didn't get their 12 episodes. They only got 10 this fucking season, so they had to rush to the end. That's it.
Listen, even if it was 13, Omar's dying the same fucking way.
That's stupid. They're the dumbest showrunners ever.
At the end of the day,
say it again. Say it one more time.
Is not important to the rest of The Wire. He's important in the streets. He's a big man in the streets. Everybody knows him in the streets.
He wasn't important, so why bring him back? Why bring him back?
Don't give a shit about him.
If they didn't bring him back, then you'd be like, season 5 stupid. Oh, where was Omar?
But why bring him back? Why give him a hit list? Why make him them bringing him out of hiding? What's the point?
Because this is who
Marlo wanted to kill him. Omar's got a list because Omar's trying to get shit done.
This is who Omar is.
I'm done. I'm done.
He's always going to be on the fucking.
I'm done. This is as dumb as the aging pills in the fucking. This is D'Angelo's death. This is as dumb as the aging pills in Oz. Fucking move on. I'm done. I have no energy. You guys are completely delusional. It makes no sense. And you sold me even worse. This is your favorite fucking show? God damn. What's your second favorite fucking Matlock? God damn.
I understand. This is like a hell of a way for Omar to go. I'm not going to argue with that. Although the show, I think, sets it up perfectly with the tone and kind of where they've gone with characters. And I think it also matches up perfectly in the sense that,
are we watching two different shows?
In the grand scheme of things, like Omar's story doesn't really matter to everybody else. That at the end of the day, Omar is just a character that's going to be forgotten by pretty much everybody. In the next 5 years, there's just going to be another Omar. This is how Omar was always meant to be. He was always going to die in the streets and maybe be like a legend. Maybe people are probably going to get it wrong. Like, this is the way Omar's story was always going to end.
He was going to go out by a child. That's crazy. Cool. Because we've seen so many Omars in this world so far. But let's pull them out. Let's try to build up something between characters and not have any of the characters actually interact with Omar at that point. Genius.
There's always going to be street side legends that are like Omar.
God, I hope Rawls,
Omar was the street legend for like this decade. There's going to be another one.
Oh, really? Where's the TV show? Where's the TV show? Is that how the real Omar got taken out? Isn't this guy based on somebody? Is that how he got shot? Did he die by the kid? No, you're right. 13 episodes. They didn't get the run. They had to speed it up. That's what it is. It's lazy. It's lazy show running.
Yeah, I mean, I can't give it to you. I can't give that to you.
Well, obviously, you're literally wearing the Nikes that they provided and the Kool-Aid that you're drinking. You're in a cult that believes it. everything logical brought up, you're just like, it's the show, man. You just don't like the show. I'm sorry, man. Like it makes no sense. Everything. I'm sorry that I like a show. I'm sorry that I'm sorry when I like a plot. When you set up a plot, maybe pay off the plot. Maybe don't just cut out of the plot because you're just out of time. We have an hour and 40-minute episode next week. Next week, why can't he die then?
I mean, they still got a whole bunch of other plots going, but I mean, in life,
not
everything works out. Not everything still is a nice little like fairy tale ending. Omar gets the bad guy. He got that in season 3.
He can fucking die. The problem is, I don't need him. He can die, but make him die to a portion that makes sense.
He has to have like a heroic death.
No.
Yeah, he has to die on his mission.
You're saying he has to have like that big death.
Okay, congratulations. You missed exactly what I said. Nice.
That's exactly
I said if he walked,
by Snoop, you wanted that moment. The Wire has consistently not given you that moment, though. They told you we're not going to give you that.
They fucking gave me that moment with Stringer, you dumb fuck.
Exactly. They already gave you that moment. They're not going to.
You didn't do the Omar thing. Please, YouTube, defend the one point of why bring him back out of hiding, give him a hit list, and him not execute any of it. Tell me why that's important to the show. Well, I know if the Wire doesn't give you what you want, then why do we spend time on that? Why is the point?
That's his character. When they took out Butchie, he was going to come back no matter what. They knew that. That's why they did it.
I feel like even if Butchie was taken out, Omar is a guy that's on the streets. He's a guy that's always been. Baltimore is in his blood.
He wasn't fucking there. He was living his life abroad. What are you talking about?
He was never going to stay away from Baltimore.
How do you know?
He was always going to come back.
We will never know.
You can't say that. You cannot say that. You are stupid for saying that. You are acting like you are Omar. You're not. The fact is he got out of it. If he was, he would have never left. He left, and he had no intention. They showed us zero signs of him coming back to Baltimore until somebody attacked him. What are you talking about?
We've literally sat and watched almost 60 episodes of another show in which another guy makes decisions he was literally always going to make. And I'm pitching that exact same thing.
No, you can't pitch Walter White. You can't pitch Walter White as Omar. You're so dumb. Walter White literally started this because he's dying of cancer. Omar and him are not even close to the same human being. They don't even have the same motives.
He was always coming back.
You don't know that.
Why was he doing this in the fucking first place?
Doing what?
The fucking thrill of the hunt, because that's what he does.
Then why leave?
Because he had some money, so he was going on vacation. Once he spent through all the money, what do you think he was going to do? Go get a job?
Oh my god! Okay.
I think
you're right with season being terrible. You guys were right about it. We're back to it.
Hey, I told you 3 and 4. Those were the seasons.
Yeah, holy shit. They don't give a fuck about this.
I will say, I think I maybe spent 45 minutes just talking about The Wire, and we spent like 20 minutes fucking arguing about fucking over stuff, and you kind of love that.
Oh, interesting. He's always supposed to die that way. That's how he's supposed to die. Good lady behind the counter should have just shot him. It would have made it perfect.
All right,
it was fun while it lasted.
Let's go to a show we can all agree on. So.
I don't know if I'm going to watch the next episodes. I'm going to be honest. I may just sit there in silence.
All right, so we're back to Oz, season 6, episode 4, failure to communicate. So news of Saeed's death has traveled around the prison quickly. His killer, Idzik, is questioned and he immediately confesses. He says that he had to kill him before nightfall. He's a weird guy. I don't know. The detective is also there to investigate Mayor Wilson's death as well. So she's digging into that and trying to figure out what happened with that. Beecher comes back to the prison to visit Keller. They discuss Keller's case and they talk about how Beecher is adjusting out back into the real world. Then we cut to Sister Pete and Keller having a conversation where Keller says that he's kind of jealous of Beecher and being out there and living on of his life. But hey, Beecher is able to get Keller off of death row through his lawyering abilities. And to celebrate, Keller goes and kills Winthrop as revenge for Beecher's father. Over in the telemarketing, things seem to be moving pretty good for the telemarketing until they aren't almost immediately. Poet's yelling at somebody on the phone and Redding fires him, and then pretty much the rest of the crew just walk out.
The calmest inmates ever to run phone lines. Genius.
Arif is going to continue with Saeed's plan to bind Hill's books to be published. The mole has a visit with Norma, and she tells him about how she got stuck in a snowstorm the night they were to be married, and she ended up hooking up with her ex-boyfriend, although she was thinking of him the whole time. So I'm sure that was good to know. Ribidow and Stella are continuing to flirt until she tells him that she has breast cancer. And he kind of doesn't take too well to that, kind of detaches. He doesn't want to see somebody sick and dying and all that stuff. Hoyt, who we discovered actually came from a rich family, he gets a new lawyer, and the lawyer is able to get him off of death row so they can send him to a mental hospital because he's just kind of all crazy and wackadoo after killing Timmy Kirk. Ryan isn't very happy that Hoyt is able to get off of death row, but Cyril is still there.
Sure.
We have a new
Hoyt
inmate.
That we've seen literally kill multiple people. Just as, we'll let him off.
Couldn't have happened to a nicer guy.
Joffrey Nema comes to Oz, and he actually has some history with Ryan's mom back when they were off doing all that protesting group and all that stuff. Penders is trying to get the solitary prisoners to sue the prison for poisoning them. Leo is able to make a deal with Omar Whites that he won't be involved in the lawsuit, and then he'll send him back to Emerald City. Brass talks to Leo about Martinez's murder. Brass is now a suspect in that, so they're looking into that, and Murphy wants Brass to kind of confess to Leo about what they did to Morales and stuff. I have on here Alvarez is doing his thing. I don't remember what that means, but I'm sure Alvarez is doing Alvarez-y stuff. Robson recommends to Cutler that they try BCP or breath control play in their after-hours events. Then Robson also tells Sister Pete that Cutler isn't doing too well, and I think he might be thinking about suicide. And then we pretty much cut to the next morning where we see that Robson had tricked Cutler into hanging himself. And that's kind of the end of that episode.
Man, in Oz, if somebody tells you to try hanging yourself, you might not want to play. I love the redemption tour that they're trying so hard to make us care about this character that none of us care a lick for. Yeah, Alvarez talking about parole. Still, that's a possibility. It's crazy. I don't know. Yeah. All these characters suck at this point. Just holy crap, kill them all off. I don't give a fuck about any of them at this point. They're unoriginal, they're boring, and these next two episodes are just some of the most blue ball episodes possible. They don't give you anything that you would need, and then oh god, we'll talk about it. But they're he gets that guy to hang himself in the next episode. It's just all's forgotten. What? Just so dumb.
I gotta be honest. I do my homework for this show. I watched these episodes last night, or at least these first two last night. I don't fucking remember a single thing from what you said. This show just doesn't fucking register to me anymore. I literally can't remember a thing. I guess I should take notes for these last two, so you have fucking something to talk about. But
I got you covered.
No, I just know I watch Wire last now. Who gives a fuck next week? But when I normally watch, I watch Oz now first because if I don't watch it first. I probably won't watch it. But you're saying stuff like we talked to like Nazario a while back, and he's like, "Oh, the boxing one, like that was the best one." I was like, "Bro, that was like 3 seasons ago at this point." So like they're all running together, and like granted, like I've said this, like there's a choice that they make in this like last 2 that is just like you had a shot, not to bring yourself all the way back, but like a real redeeming moment. They pissed down their legs, so.
Yeah, I mean,
you can just go to those.
Once we get to these later seasons, I think it's just they've already done like all the good storylines they can do. Now they're just kind of recycling stuff and moving stuff around, and like I couldn't even really tell you what happened like the first 3 episodes of the season now, without going back and reading these notes. But yeah, so episode 5, forgiveness with the number 4 instead of you guys get it.
Like
for life, brother.
Yeah, so I guess Robson is back with the Aryans now because he killed that guy. I guess that's all that takes.
His gums took him out of
the
it.
Black guy gums, but you know he killed the guy, so I guess he's in again. Yeah,
killed a white guy too. Doubly makes sense.
Like I don't think that guy was with the Aryans, but wasn't he like a biker or something? But still, yeah. But yeah, so that happened. So I guess his redemption arc is over. Cutler left Alvarez all of his possessions for some reason. I'm sure we'll find out that there's some good reason behind all of that.
Yeah, what the fuck? And they do such a poor job explaining like any of that shit.
Which that's the same reaction that Alvarez had too. So
yeah, it's just like, what do you mean? We've never seen these characters talk to each other in the show.
And I think, and I don't think it's this episode, the next episode where he visits with Cutler's wife, and she said, "Oh, he just likes fucking with me sometimes." So I don't know if that's all the explanation we're gonna get, but
like, why choose Alvarez? Like, what? Sure,
might have saw him walking around when he was filling out.
This show makes no fucking sense. Like, no sense at all.
I'm holding out hope maybe there'll be an explanation, but we'll see.
I actually hope he becomes an angel and he drops down to talk to Alvarez in the afterlife.
Oh, gosh. Robson also visits with his girlfriend and ends up getting a little bit too excited and violent with her, and then he gets thrown in the hole. Arif is working on the book still. They actually get some of them done, and they hand out some copies to the prisoners. Redding is having trouble getting any crew back to work the telemarketing. He then goes to Camo and asks him to beat up any of his crew that if he sees them slinging drugs. I got Drop Dead Omar quotes from Poet. I think that was my favorite part. To see that the prisoners feel the same way about Omar as we do. So
yeah.
Idzik comes to M City. White wants to kill him. Arif says they cannot hurt him because it was Saeed's last wish. Vern visits Idzik. I thought this was I like this. This was a good scene. He visits Idzik in Unit G and he thanks him for taking out Saeed. Idzik then informs him that he's Jewish.
I knew there was a reason for you people.
He kind of weirds Vern out when he starts talking about like water and all that stuff. So, White requests a meeting with Idzik. McManus obviously denies it. Murphy talks to Leo about what he and the other guards did to Morales and how they cut his Achilles tendons. Leo visits with Morales, who tells Leo that he's afraid of the nurse Grace that's working there in the infirmary. Brass gave the remainder of the money to Rebadow, and he tries to blame him running off with the money on Morales, because when he got his Achilles tendon cut, he put him in a weird place mentally, so that's why he did that. Brass and Howell are upset with Murphy because they lost a week's vacation. Leo took a week's vacation from all 3 of them because they cut Morales' tendons. So, you know, I mean,
you're still employed? Like, the fuck are you angry? Like, I was just like, what?
McManus is also disappointed in him because he's McManus, of course. So he's he's better than everyone. So, but ultimately, he's proud of him for confessing. So,
Stop being so like he's like gets mad at him for like taking ownership for it.
I'm trying to be mad at you, damn it. Then we have Nurse Grace smothering Morales after telling him she did the same thing to Martinez. So yeah, that happened. That's another character going out in a wonderful way. Uh, the mole visits with Norma and the baby, and she asks him to marry her. Rivadao tries to quit the library, but he can't. He starts giving Stella the silent treatments, and Pablo, the inmate that she's teaching reading and giving books to, he kind of gets in his face about disrespecting her. The investigation into Mayor Wilson's death is moving fast. Leo has found out that a guard had paid an inmate to do the deed, and the guard makes a phone call to let someone know that Leo knows. Bum bum bum.
Dun, 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 dun.
Timmy Kirk's mom visits with Hoyt and decides she wants to volunteer at the prison. She's also probably flirting with Father Ray a little bit, so we'll see if that leads to anything. The next day, Hoyt begins sweating blood. Yeah, so that happens. Cyril isn't feeling well after the electric shock therapy, and Dr. Nathan lets him spend some time in the infirmary. Poet and the rest of the crew approach Joffrey about leading them, and he turns them down. Ryan is upset that his mother has been spending so much time with Joffrey. Beecher visits another inmate, Henry Stanton, about his back injury, and he's able to get the prison to pay for his rehab and fire 2 COs. Leo is not liking this new Beecher because he's causing trouble for them. Yeah, so the 2 COs get fired for like making this guy work and hurt his back, but the guys that like cut Morales' attendance. But yeah, I guess having the Beecher poking his nose around kind of helps get stuff done. Keller misses his old relationship with Beecher. Sister P suggests that he help other people. He thinks of his ex-wives. Keller and Beecher have an awkward visit. Keller asks to meet the kids, and Beecher reveals that he's been dating the daughter's teacher. Keller tells Beecher that he killed Winthrop for him. Beecher's not happy about that. Keller begs Beecher to help his sick ex-wife get some illegal medicine. Keller then calls in a tip to the police about it, and Beecher is arrested for violating his parole and sent back to Oz. So he got about a whole episode and a half of freedom. And that's the end of this episode.
I will give Oz this. They probably have the best quote of the week. Because as Beecher comes back, literally just says, same old story. I got fucked in the ass.
Yeah.
I think they realized that, yeah, we need Beecher, like, in this show. So we got to get him back.
It's so fucking stupid. Why free? What are we doing?
So just to fuck with his character some more. And to kind of show, like, the levels that Keller's not a good guy.
Bad guy. Very bad guy.
I do kind of like that, just because I feel like we've been kind of building up Keller to be like a better character, a better person, and then he goes and fucks with Beecher, like the one guy that he likes, is kind of funny. Like, I do kind of like that.
But Mark, he did it because he loves him so much.
Hilarious.
He did it for love. All right. So if nobody has anything else with that episode.
No, fuck this. I used all my energy. I used all my energy on The Wire. I have nothing left in me.
Cody's got to reserve a little bit for Breaking Bad.
I think we're gonna get into some stuff in this next episode. I think we definitely got something.
Oh yeah, fuck this episode. You can literally skip everything. We can just talk about the moment.
Episode 6, A Day in the Death. Beecher blames Keller for him getting sent back to Oz, because duh. Vern visits Keller.
I didn't do it, you fucking asshole.
But the fact that I think you might have done it,
like,
what's that
say? You told me to do this, and then somebody knew exactly where the fuck I was gonna be. Go fuck yourself.
Vern visits with Keller, saying that they should be friends again now that Beecher doesn't want anything to do with him. So maybe Vern and Keller are gonna get together again. Who knows? We'll see. We got what, 2 episodes left. Anything can happen.
Yeah, they were Nazis together at one point, so why not?
Pablo tells Ribadow that he needs to be nicer to Stella. He apologizes to her and tells her that he loves her.
Oh
Stella
wait,
tells
did we
him-
ever talk about them as wanting to sit naked together in the room and read together?
Oh, I blocked that out of my mind.
Oh yeah, that was real creepy. He wanted them both to get buck ass naked and just sit there and read together. And then she says, "I have cancer," and he got pissed. What the fuck? Like,
Do you think she said that because he said that? It's like, oh, I need to get this guy away from me. I don't want to be naked.
I don't know, but like, for him to react, "I got cancer, bitch." Like, no, thank you.
That'd be a hell of a thing to throw into the finale. I actually don't have cancer.
You were coming on a little too strong, so I had to kind of back you off a little bit. Oh yeah, so like I said, Stella tells her it's not a good time to have him around. So I don't. We're getting mixed signals with that storyline. We'll see. Idzik requests a transfer to M City. White tells McManus it's not a good idea. McManus then makes White Idzik's sponsor because McManus. Idzik tells White he transferred to M City to find someone to kill him. So this might be the beginning of a good relationship. There's a new homicide has been assigned to the Mayor Wilson case, and he kind of wants to just squash this investigation. Leo talks with a member of the governor's staff and suggests that he thinks there's more at play here. The guy then meets with the crooked CEO about killing the prisoner they used to kill the mayor. That guy's dead. And then he said that Leo also needs to die. So to be continued on that. Robson talks to Sister Pete about his bad encounter with his girlfriend. Then he gets all weepy about Cutler raping him. So she has him go to a rape support group meeting, which was, well, that was a fun scene. I like that pretty much everyone is pretty much victims at there. And then there's Robson. So Chico and Alvarez talk about Morales' death. And Chico suggests that Alvarez should lead their group. Alvarez says no. Like I said, Cutler's widow comes to visit him. He tells her he doesn't want Cutler's stuff. They had a nice little visit. McManus and Father Ray suggest that Alvarez meet with the parole board member that he attacked. I see nothing bad's going to come from that. When looking into Morales' death, Leo and Dr. Nathan take a close look into Nurse Grace's background, and they find out that more than 8 people have died under her watch at previous hospitals, so they have her arrested. Telemarketing lady tells Redding that he needs to get more workers, and he doesn't have much luck. Reef is also having a hard time with this whole bookbinding company and doing all the accounting and all that stuff. So Redding gets one of the telemarketers to destroy the bookbinding machinery. And then Redding tells Arif that he should thank him now that he can collect the insurance money and be free of the burden. So that kind of works out for everybody. Dr. Nathan tells Ryan that the electric chair might be the better option for Cyril since he's already been getting the electric shock therapy. Cyril gets his head shaved in preparation. Joffrey tells Ryan that everyone in M City will be with Cyril when the time comes. Cyril gets to eat fluffernutter sandwiches and gets to spend a nice quality last night with Ryan. Everybody in M City gets to their pods and starts pounding on the glass to honor Cyril as he's about to be killed. And as he's about to get electrocuted, Leo gets a call from the Supreme Court that they have granted Cyril a stay of execution. So that's how the episode ends. They had a nice. I thought they had a nice build up. I thought they had a good scene there. It was going well for a good little send off for Cyril, and then they kind of yanked it away at the last minute. So we'll see where that goes from there.
Yeah, fuck this. They have such a perfect it's honestly like the one like real emotion that happens in the show. there's not that many. Like, you feel bad for things and feel bad for like Beecher, but like Cyril and O'Reilly have been this connection for the entire time, and for him to go through with the execution and like O'Reilly having to deal with the repercussions and like keeping O'Reilly like comfortable, like keeping Cyril comfortable with what's about to happen, like not letting him know anything. It's just like a perfect send off to a character. I thought like the banging on the glass too was really like emotional. Like it was all like leading to like a perfect send off for Cyril because Cyril has run his course as a character, right? Like, um, I'm not saying he deserved to die, but like it's just he was either going to go to insane asylum. He got to have one great night with his brother. Everything was going to send him off, and then for them to just do the stay of execution at the last time, and there's not one person like, and maybe if you guys are going to tell me like after the Omar thing, anything's fucking possible, but like you're sitting there and thinking like, of course that phone's going to ring. Like Oz won't do this. They have a perfect opportunity. They're going to blow this opportunity right now. So overall, it was just like a anticlimactic, just bullshit. What ends up happening? Because they want the audience to go yes, yeah, but like we knew the phone. Like they showed that, I don't know the camera work or anything, but they show that phone very like on the money, like multiple times, knowing it's gonna ring. So yeah, I just thought it was like a perfect like every time they came in and said something to Cyril, and Cyril's like, "What?" Like, O'Reilly's like, "My brother says I can wear this." I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Oh, I think I ate too much." Yeah, like, you know, we get to be together. Like all this stuff, like all this nice stuff to send off Cyril that doesn't know. And now again, I know what they did. Right? They did it to the theme of like when they ruled in against like people with mental disabilities of not execution, but like
Oh, that was a really fucked up thing too. Is they said because he wasn't mentally handicapped until after he was 18, and that was the reasoning that they wouldn't take it off of take
yeah,
him off the death penalty.
yeah, and it was just like, what are we doing here? Like, and then they use it to do this like education of the system that changed,
Mm-hmm.
but like you don't need to do that with this character. Like this character has earned its stripes and O'Reilly has been that one of the linchpins for the series, and actually like let people in and have this moment and agreed to say goodbye to Cyril to just like tug at the end. It pissed me off beyond it. Like, yeah,
As I was saying, if they did all that, they just pull away, and then they're gonna kill him off in the next episode. That's gonna be so stupid.
yeah,
You know, I'm a little bit of two minds of this because when I first saw it, like when I finished it this morning, like I kind of liked it whenever I first, just because like you do feel bad for Cyril because like you don't want him to die, and so like, oh, he doesn't have to die, cool. But like the more you think about it, like, and we just went 7 rounds over, like did a show like build up to this death or whatever, and this doesn't match Oz at all because Oz has built up an identity where the right thing doesn't happen, and this is a perfect thing to happen near the end of uh, O'Reilly's story, to where his brother dies, and it's a direct result of his actions. And like that's one of the best ways you can wrap up his story, is that his brother dies because of him.
Mm-hmm.
And also, we're still kind of reeling off of this is the final season of Oz, and I'm thinking, you can kind of kill off a number of like kind of number of characters, and you have a character who legit shouldn't die, and we'll feel bad if he dies. And Oz just doesn't have the balls to go through with it. Like, especially when they set it up perfectly, like just do it. Like, just let's just do it, man. And I kind of said this before the show. It reminds me of fucking Stranger Things, because that's a show that I feel like had a pretty good season that they just did. That was really good, and like Oz, they had a perfect moment to kill off at least a couple of characters, and they don't kill anybody off. Like they just have no fucking balls. Like they just don't want to do it. It's like, and they just end up fucking themselves at the end of the day. Especially when this could have been this really could have been like a nice like linchpin moment to kind of bring you into your finale.
Nope.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow, 30 minutes. I'm kind of shocked. Like,
When we don't give a fuck anymore, we're done. So.
Yeah. Who knows?
All right.
Maybe next week maybe they'll pull something out with the finale.
Nope.
Who knows?
Nope. Too little, too late. Episode 13, Breaking Bad. I will not attempt to pronounce. It's a reservation, Indian reservation, but whatever. Doesn't fucking matter. Opens to meth being made, and Uncle Todd, all them, and what's the bitch name? I can't think of her name.
Lydia.
I burned my brain on the wire. I'm fried. That's fine. So they're sitting there talking. They're talking about that 76. It's 76%, which is better than the guy could barely crack 70, so he should be good. There's one thing drastically missing from this product. It is not blue. Then we have a most awkward exchange ever.
Cody. If you look at it at a certain light,
nice
though, it's kind of blue.
See a little bit.
Yeah. I also like they take off their mask and Todd's like, oh, I wouldn't do that. Like they said that's pretty dangerous. And like, fuck it. They don't care. Then we have the most awkward conversation between Lydia and Todd ever of him trying to spit game, and I'll pass. Such a creep. He's even creepy when he looks at that coffee mug and just looks at the lipstick stain, and there it is. We get a call back to the last episode where Walt was in the car calling Todd. We see Todd's perspective of the call now. Basically, he needs to meet him about Jesse Pinkman. We see Hank Gomez underneath the bridge talking about how fucking stupid Jesse Pinkman was. Like, what the fuck are we going to do now? He's like, well, he thinks he has more. They know where to hurt him. It's his money. Do you know where it is? He's like, no, but I know how to flush it out of him. Like, I know exactly where we can go and get the stuff that we need to do. So they buy it. They buy calf brain, they buy brains. They put it on the floor, they smatter it, and they put Jesse down to take a picture of him. And then they go and meet with Huel and basically show basically not legal whatsoever, but basically interrogate him to show them that they're coming after him. They have a hit for him. Why me? I didn't do nothing. I just took his money. We just collected his money from him. Basically giving Hank a bunch of information that he already knew. He needed to know where it was. She's like, well, we rented a van and everything. So they kind of have a plan to what it is, and basically keeping Huel stay inside, don't talk to anybody because Saul sold you out. Basically making sure he has nobody else. Then we cut back. Walt is sitting with the uncle and Todd and stuff and talking about what he needs to do. Call back to, I think, what Mark or maybe Matt said last episode of Jesse's family to Walt. Walt makes that very clear that he's family. He doesn't want him to be in pain. He's just Todd calls him a rat, and he's like, he's not a rat. He's not a rat at all. He just is not thinking clearly. So he doesn't want him to pain. He doesn't want him to hurt. He just wants he's so in the back of the head, like a bullet to the back of the head. He said, yes. Okay. But he's like, so I'll pay you once the job's done. He's like, we don't need your money. We want you to cook. Walt's like, I'm not cooking. That's it. Do you want this job done? Not cook. He agrees that he will cook one time with him after the job is done. So that's it. Walt knows how to flush out Jesse. Walt goes to Andrea's house. basically sits there and talks to her and talks about worried about Jesse, about overdosing, like all the stuff he's concerned about. She calls Jesse and says, "Hey, I'm here with Walt, and like just wanted to hear back. Please give me a call." That's Walt leaves, tells them to wait for him. Only problem is Hank has the burner phone. So Hank hears the message. Nice try, asshole. Goes in, trying to figure out a way to like catch and Hank does not tell Jesse about the message. Basically, he's talking about the situation. Saul shows up to the car wash, basically have an exchange about Huel being gone. Like he has no way. He's not answering his phone. He's just gone. So like wondering where Jesse, he hasn't shown up. Like there's no conversation because Walt's hoping Saul will help fish out Jesse, basically. And at this point, Walt has no idea that Jesse is with Hank. It doesn't. So he's really freaked out about that. There he goes back in the gas station, not really understanding what's really going on. He gets a phone call from Jesse that basically says he didn't know that rental van that you gave up had GPS on it. Like, I got your money. Sends him a picture of his money. If he doesn't come out to the desert, he's going to light it on fire. He's trying to talk his way out of it. Walt's not thinking. Walt's just going. He is flying. He's coming. He's like, don't think about getting help. It's really shot really well. Ryan Johnson directs 3 of these episodes. He didn't direct this one, but he directs the very next one. But like, these final episodes are shot so well, and like him flying across basically the highway to get to the spot. He's talking about his cancer being back. He's trying to work with it. That money belongs to his church. And he's like, "You're going to talk about kids, really? Like, you want to talk about Brock?" He's like, and he's like, "I'm sorry about Brock." No, you're not. Like, basically. And then he like starts listing a bunch of things. Like he killed Emilio, he killed Crazy 8, he killed Gus. He did all this stuff for this. He's driving. He loses cell service. He's concerned that he's going to be lost. He ends up driving to the spot. He gets out to the spot. He's got his gun. He's circling around, looking all around, doing everything. Realizes that he was on the phone long enough to be tracked. Son of a bitch takes out his phone, starts throwing it, like figuring it, like he's trying to flee. Like he doesn't know what else to do. He's just like hiding up in the closet. He knows like this could be it. Like he's finally been caught. He gets up high enough where he gets a phone call to the uncle and Todd. Basically tells him there's people coming for him. And he gives him the exact location. He gives him the coordinates to the spot to tell him to come. Also, they really do a good job of selling the uncle in the show. Like, puts a swastika on his hand, does all the things. Like, remember, this guy's a Nazi. Like, you gotta hate this guy. Car pulls up. He's sitting behind the table. He's confused. He doesn't really know what's going on, and then he sees it. Jesse's with Hank. And then he basically, wait, never mind. Just don't come. Don't come. I'm telling you, do not come. He knows it's over. He's been caught. And he's even fighting with the urge to, like, take out Hank at this point. But he knows it's just too much. He tells him not to come. And he ends up going. They're all looking around for him. They can't see him. And then Walt is just going to walk out. He walks. He's got a gun. And they tell him to drop his weapon. He commits. He does everything. He walks forward. Hands up. He just sees his whole world crashing down. He sees Jesse with Hank. Dead to rights. Took him right to the location where all the money is hidden. Has him on the phone with confessions and everything. Like he's done. Basically, he's done. He gets him to handcuff, and then it's just such a Hank is like so satisfied. And he's like, I took this picture of the barrel in your backyard where we had cookouts. Figured you didn't know the difference with the round. I figured you greedy bastard would only care about this. And he doesn't have anything on him. And he's just dead. He's not even looking at Hank. He's just looking at Jesse the entire time. Calls him a coward. Jesse. Well, and then Hank and Gomez like talking is like, is it yours? Like, you want to flip for it? And he's like, it's yours. He reads him his Miranda rights, and then as soon as he's done, he calls him a coward. Jesse walks up and spits right into his fucking face, and Walt tries to attack him. He ends up putting them in the car. He's like, I'll call the police once I get service out of here. I'll call once I'm leaving. It's over. But he makes one phone call. He calls Marie. Marie's opening the trash can at the same time, sees the brains in the bottom, and goes, why is there brain in our thing? And then says the word, we got him. Dead to rights. It's over. You got Walt. He's like, yes. You want me to wave at him? He waves at him. He doesn't look too friendly. They hang up. He's like, it's going to be hard for the next couple weeks, but like it's going to pass over. We got him. And then Walt hears something and looks over. The uncle and Todd did not heed the message. They're here. And he's like, tribal police? Like, what is it is? Walt knows exactly who it is. Jesse also knows who it is, basically. They pull their guns out. They basically have a whole conversation. Walt is screaming from the back of the car, don't do it, Jack. Like, Jack, don't. Like, this does not. We're done. They're like, drop your weapons with the cops. No. Show me some ID. If you want me to believe that, like, show me your cops. They just have guns pulled. Walt keeps screaming. He's trying to save Hank. And then the gunfire ensues. They start shooting uncontrollably at each other. And that's how the episode ends, with the gunfire still raining down. So there's no real solution based on that. But yeah, I think it's a perfect build episode right into this next episode. But I think this episode is absolutely perfect. Like, we thought the book was the one thing that kept him down. We knew that. That's what he left behind. But his one linchpin, his one weakness has always been the money. And Jesse was right. He knew right how to lead him out and got him to lead out. So I think, yeah, great. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, this is an amazing episode. I know the next episode is the one that gets all the loves, but you really need this episode. Without this, I don't think the next one. It's almost like one big 2-hour episode in my mind. It's just everything.
I can never imagine watching this episode and not just jumping right to the next episode. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Actually, the next 4 episodes, like these 4 episodes, I just don't know how anybody stops at these 4. Like, it's.
Yeah, all of it's great. I love that Jesse's plan is the one that was able to get it work. Pretty much all season, Jesse's been the one coming up with the plans that works, because he had the whole plan with the magnet, and I think a lot of the train thing was his idea too. So it's been a really good season for Jesse up until this point. We'll get onto that. And yeah, I love that Hank took a nice moment to call Marie. It was a nice little moment for the two of them. He got to have his "I did it, I got him." He got to have that one moment for however short of a time it is, but yeah, and it's probably one of the best cliffhangers, definitely of this show, if not like any show. So yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, the TV I owned at the time when watching this episode was really lucky that the only thing I had next to me was a pillow, because I threw that at my TV when it ended, where this episode ended. It was maddening to watch this, like, live. It I was so pissed. Like we just left it. We got left here just to kind of sit in this for a fucking week. And just like, what the fuck's gonna happen? Because it is a thing that does separate good and great television shows. Because a good television show would have probably just ended like right when what was when Jack showed up.
Mm.
You know, when Jack shows up, we pull all the guns and black screen. Like
Mhm.
none of us would have had any complaints about it. We'd be like, holy fuck, what's gonna happen? Like we would have tuned in next week no matter what. Like because it's a good end off. Many shows do that. But the decision, go through the argument, go through all the tense situation. We see the hail of gunfire, and then we just see Walt struggling to get into the under the back seat, and we just go straight to black. Brilliant! It's amazing. It was amazing. I got the lead up to that is perfect, and the way Hank and Jesse are able to catch Walt at the end, it's as good as it's gonna be. And yeah, I think I remember pointing this out last episode, where at the end of the day, like even though it's the one thing I think that will keep Walt human here near the end, is that when it came down to it, he didn't want to kill Hank, and he knew to get away with it up until this point, that's what he would have to do, and he didn't want to make that call. It's the one thing that keeps him into being kind of a good guy. Well, at least for now.
I will say that watching this time, I was like, as soon as he gets out there and he sees there's no one there, why doesn't he just get in the car and just drive away again? But I'm sure he's not thinking straight at that moment. But
That,
yeah,
that and at that point, he already knows that he led them to the spot. Like they know the money is in this general area, and
general area. It's a big desert.
at this
Don't stay
point,
there.
I think Hank is content. Okay, it's in this thousand square yard area. I'll just like pay for a week to get a backhoe, and I'll just dig up this whole region. I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next episode, arguably, it's not even arguably anymore. It's the best episode of Breaking Bad by rating standards and everybody. It's directed by Ryan Johnson. It's his third one. It's the final one that he does. It's titled Ozymandias, which is basically it's the recounts of a crumbling legacy of one once proud king. Is the poem that it's referencing, which is an absolute perfect title for this. Basically starts. Well, of course, this show's going to start right where it left off, gunfire. Nope, we're back to the original spot of the cook that they have, and basically Walt knows in this area where to get a cell phone call from. Like that's why he climbed to the situation where he did. He knew how to call like from this area. Like this is familiar ground. Talking about working late, working at the thing. It's just a nice flashback of like holy shit of where we started to how far. Like this spot was where we first started cooking, and now this is the end, basically. Cuts back after gunfire. Steve Gomez is dead on the floor, and he has been shot and killed. Hank is crawling towards the gun. Jack catches him in time, basically turns him over. They find the badge and said they're DEA. He basically cocks the gun and says, "Okay, it's over. Like you're gonna kill him." Walt wakes up from the shell shock of being in the car, gets up and like, hey, "Jack, no, let's talk about it. Listen, Hank, we're never gonna talk about this. We're gonna move on from this. Like you need to just apologize. You need to just move on. Like we're good. Like I promise we will not speak of this. Like it's just me and him. Like." And the DA has no idea about me. He's working on this himself. Like, there's no thing. Just please, you can have my money, like everything. Like you can have it all. I'll give you every bit of it. It's buried out here, is what he says. And he says the number. He says $80 million. They like kind of like pause, And he says, he's like, I'll give it all of it, but all you have to do is let Hank go. And Jack's like, sounds pretty good. He's like, what do you think, Fed? Hank. Oh, Walt. Ego. His name is Hank. His name is Hank, not Fed. And he's like, should I let you go, Hank? And then Hank looks back up at him. I'm Asac Schrader. And you can go fuck yourself. Walt sinks. And Hank, listen to me. Just listen. Like, you just need to listen to hear this out. You got to tell him, like, we can do this out. And my favorite line in this entire show, what do you want me to do, beg? You're the smartest man I've ever met. But he made up his mind 10 minutes ago. You're too stupid to see he made up his mind 10 minutes ago. He just doesn't realize. He's like, you. And Hank looks right back to him and is like, go ahead, basically. Just like, do what you're going to do. And then pulls the gun. Dead. Hank Schrader's gone. And the zoom in shot with the camera wiggle into Walt's face just melting and him falling, toppling over. Hank, like, Walt did this to not hurt family. Like, his whole goal was to set up his family and go off, but his ego got too far. And he's like, this seems, and then Walt's out of commission. He's gone. Jack's like, these are pretty exact coordinates of something. Like, this has got to be something, like, pretty good. So they go right to it. They couldn't find Pinkman, but they're going to dig. And, yeah, they find it. They find his money. All 80 million of it. They dump Hank and Steve in the pit where they found the money. Walt is still laying on the ground, like, not moving. He's noticed something that hasn't been said anything, but they've basically said, Jack says to take one of the barrels and give it to Walt, because Todd basically tells him, like, just keep it to him. But he's like, it's 10 or 11 million. Like, we have this much money. Like, what the fuck? Like, we're going to give you one of your millions. And then Todd's like, we're going to leave you a barrel. He uncuffs him. Walt has a glazed over look on his eyes, like he is just seen, but he keeps staring at the car. He keeps staring at it. And Jack's like, hey, my nephew respects you. We're going to leave you a barrel, but we need to be in a good situation. You caught me in a good mood. You're going to get in your car. You're going to leave. All right? And then he's like, I need to tell you that we're good. Holds up his hands. Got to know we're square. He ends up shaking his hand, and then when he walks away, he's like, Pinkman. He's like, what? You still owe me Pinkman. If you can find him, we'll kill him. Found him. Jesse's underneath the car. Jesse's been underneath the car the entire time. Walt has seen him the entire time. They end up pulling Jesse out. He's screaming, no. Yeah. Screaming, just throwing a fit. And he's like, put him on his knees. They put the gun behind his head. They're going to pull the trigger. Good to go. Walt gives him the, yep. Todd goes, wait. He's talked to the feds. He may have told some stuff about him. I think we can get it out of him back at the other place. Todd's a sick motherfucker. That's just all there is to it. Todd's a sick motherfucker. He's like, we get it out of him back home, then we do the job. That's good, Walt? Walt's like, yep, fine. No problem with that. Walt has said 0 words besides Pinkman and found him at this point. Like, so there's nothing. He's walking past him, and he's like, wait. Walt's most sinister moment is at this point. He looks him straight in the eyes with almost like a cautious face, and then tells him, I watched Jane die. I saw her overdosing I saw her choking to death. I could have saved her, but I let her die. And just leaves that. He's like, I could have saved her, but I didn't. And then just walks the other way and lets them take Jesse. Like, what the fuck? Like, the most ruthless. He's been holding that since season 2. I think it's season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Just mind blowing. He gets in the car. He ends up just driving. He doesn't. Ain't know what he's gonna do. But his car's out of gas. It's one of the most like comedic moments of this episode. He drives away. He's on E because the bullet hole went through his gas tank. And what does he do? Well, I'm not gonna leave $10 to $11 million here. So he's just gonna roll his barrel across the desert right now. Like, I don't know what song plays. I can't remember. But it's like this old song just playing while he's just rolling in the desert heat while he throws his money. He ends up getting to like a farm guy and says, like, is your truck for sale? He just pulls out cash and like hands it. It's on the Indian reservation, but he basically buys a truck for the situation. And yeah, it's like gives him 10 grand or whatever it is. Marie shows up at Skylar's car wash and basically tells him, like, Hank's got him dead to rights. He's getting incarcerated right now. But you're going to call in Walt Jr. and you're going to tell him, or I'm going to, like, right now. Which, what the fuck, for one? Like, I get it. Like, I've hated Skylar for 10 plus years at this point of watching the show religiously. Holy shit. It took doing the deep dive step by step to know how much fucking I hate Marie. But, like, Skylar's going through, like, her husband just got incarcerated, like, all the stuff, and now you want me to just break it down to my son, like, right here, everything. It leaves with her just looking, like, sad at the door while we get a cut back to Jesse in a pit and beat the fuck. Like, beat the shit out of him. Todd comes down and basically grabs him. Jesse panics. Basically, he now has him on a chain system in there to be able to cook meth for them. And he just knows that this is his new hell. This is his new prison. Like, he made a decision to he made a decision to go with Hank. It didn't work out for him, and now he's caught into this entire hell. Which, again, Jesse was never going to be fine in any situation that he was in. Like, if it would have worked out perfectly, maybe it would have been fine. But, like, no. Like, hey, it was going to be bad. Are you all on? And then the acting performance of the season. Are you all on fucking crack or something? My dad, a drug dealer. Walt Jr. is having none of it. Like, you fucking idiots. Like, you're a bitch. Like, he just, like, lays into his mom, lays into Marie, like, doesn't buy any of it. Like, no fucking chance that my dad's a drug dealer. They're driving home. He's still pissed at his mom, and he gets there, and Walt's there with the truck. So Marie said this stuff to Skylar. Skylar sees Walt. He's supposed to be with Hank at this point, not with Hank. He's like, we need to pack up. You need to go. We're a family. We're leaving. Get your shit, go. And Skylar asked the classic question, where's Hank? I'll talk to you later about that. Like, you killed him. You killed Hank. And then Walt Jr., you killed Uncle Hank? Basically, like, lit an entire face. Like, we're family. It's just you. Like, Skylar doesn't know at this point, and I understand why. But, like, they are on the doorsteps of being in that van, getting out of Dodge as a united front. Like, they just have to they actually just have to get in the car at this point. Like, that's it. They refuse. So it's like this, it doesn't end well for them. She pulls a knife on him, puts back Walt, cuts him, and they end up wrestling. And then Walt Jr. is on the phone calling the cops. Walt takes Holly and drives away with Holly. Skylar is like melting down. He is giving his. We see Walt in the bathroom, like bandaging up his hand from the cut, and he's with Holly, and you see like it's body language. It's not said in the show, but you can almost see him like saying goodbye to Holly at this point. Like he knows like what's going to happen in the next situation, but he looks very torn up about it. And then there's a phone call at the house, and he's like Walt as Heisenberg, but overacting as Heisenberg, basically to get Skylar free off the thing. And he asks, "Are you alone? No police?" She's like, "No police," which basically gives him the hint that they are there. And asking, "Where's Holly?" And then he just goes into this big thing. Like, what the hell is wrong with you? You can't do anything that I tell you to do. This is your fault. This is what comes to your disrespect. Like, all this stuff. I've warned you for a solid year. If you cross me, there's consequences. You just are not listening to anything I say. And she's like, "You took my child." And then basically just admits to it. You never believed in me. You told me this is immoral, that I need to quit this. Like, you're going to go to jail. We have to stop. Like, all this stuff. Because it's just the disrespect. Like, it's just leading to, like, he is selling this, like, to save Skylar in this entire situation. He's like, and she, like, you drag me down instead of just being accepting of the money that I make, like, all the stuff. And she is picking up on her facial expressions, like, what he is doing. And now you tell my son, like, you ruined me on that situation, you stupid bitch. Like, basically just talks to her how he's never talked to her before. And then she asked about Hank and said that he crossed him. Like, but it's just like, I built this. It's me alone. Like, basically doing everything he can to help Skylar, and because he is going to be gone, because he is taking the ride to somewhere else. And then he ends with the threat: toe the line, or you will wind up just like Hank. So admitting that he killed Hank Schrader at that point. And then he's having an emotional breakdown because he never wanted anything to Hank, but it's all an act for him. He's trying to set, and then tells her she's never going to see Hank again. And Marie just melts. And then he crossed me, is what she basically says. And then he hangs up the phone. He breaks the phone, and he leaves Holly in a fire station. Turns on the lights, and basically when they open the door, he's sitting there, and Walt is sitting on the thing. That van pulls up, and unlike Jesse Pinkman, Walt gets in, and Walt is gone. And that's Ozymandias. Thoughts? There's a lot to unpack in that episode, but if you say anything from great, I will end the episode, and we'll just stop talking to each other, and season 2 is canceled.
I don't really know what can be said, really. I mean, it's the best episode of Breaking Bad, hands down, in my opinion. I mean, it's just all the characters just delving into their own personal hells. You get Jesse being forced to cook, and he's got the threat, the picture of the only reason he's going along with the picture.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, pretty much just showing, hey, if you don't cook, they're going to be the ones to pay for it. So we know you don't really value your life anymore, but you care about them. So, and then Walt, he's done all this, at least in his mind, he's done all this for his family, and then he loses them in the end. He does do one final good thing for his family with that phone call. He tries to kind of save them with that. And yeah, I guess Skylar, she fears that she lost Holly, and all that. But Walt Jr. finally sided with his mother this whole series, so it took his father threatening her to get there. But hey, good
No,
for him.
it took her finally killing Hank. Nothing about his mom. It's when you killed Uncle Hank. You're done, bitch. What?
And then Marie, yeah, and that's one good. Out of this whole show, one good thing is I think we got Cody off of the Skylar hate wagon. So I feel like that's a good accomplishment for this show. But yeah, I mean,
I think
it's
that was
fantastic.
just a popular thing that a lot of people felt towards Skylar. But if you
It's
really
that a lot of
watch
people
this,
are just like so on Walt's side that, and then she's just trying to stop Walt from doing his stuff that she naturally kind of fits in the role of the bad guy. But,
if you speed watch this like I normally do,
yeah.
but when you have to when you take notes and dissect it and go spot by
You have to
spot,
actually go through her point of view, and it's
Skylar's kind of the hero of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's the only one that keeps everything on the course and tries to do anything.
Oh,
I mean,
she's
she almost
not perfect.
ends
She
a
makes
lot
some
of
mistakes, but yeah.
Yeah, the Ted stuff is like one of the crucial. Like they could have got out of this like 2 seasons ago, but they didn't.
And yeah, it just goes back. If Jesse would have gotten that van a couple episodes ago, like none of this would have happened.
But that line where basically when Hank looks at him and goes, "You're the smartest man I've ever met, but you're too stupid to realize he made his decision 10 minutes ago."
Oh yeah, I mean,
you don't get into a firefight without. You can't just Steve Gomez is dead. Like you can't just walk. Hank can't just walk away from this. Like
no.
neither can Jack. Like you two are fucked.
I mean that's Walt's hubris is that he thinks he can talk himself out of any situation, and a lot of times he does. But I mean that's just
This one's the stakes were too much.
Yeah, he hasn't dealt with someone like Jack before. Because I mean Gus, at least he had principles and stuff like that, somewhat. But yeah. But I mean, Jack's not that bad of a guy. He gave him a barrel. He didn't kill him. If it wasn't for Todd, he would have just killed all of them and just threw them in that.
That is kind of still crazy.
Is maybe that's low key one of the funniest things in this show. He's like, sure, I just killed your brother-in-law, and I'm taking all your money, but I'm giving you a barrel. So are we good? You know, are we good, man?
That's $10 million.
Like, what's he supposed to say right now? Yeah, we're good.
Listen, I could be an incredibly petty person. I will choose not to.
You motherfucker! I wish you would.
I mean, I'm kind of upset that Gomez kind of just got the off-screen death.
Which is just like off-screen.
You know what? Omar and Gomez sinking. Got it.
But yeah, no, like look, it's.
They had to kill Hank. Like that was the only reason why that kill was there.
It's the best episode of Breaking Bad. It's one of the greatest episodes ever. It's at least probably in the top 2 of episodes we're going to talk about, at least for this season. I think only one episode for me, On the Wire, I think contends with this one. Looked up. I was just kind of curious. I meant to look this up before, at least Ozymandias, and apparently the poem, well, the main themes of it are the impermanence of political power, the insignificance of humans in the face of time, the destructive power of history, and the pride and hubris of humanity. Gee, does that sound like somebody we know?
Yeah.
That's
something the show does not get enough credit for of how they name episodes. Like they're pretty like on the money on how they name stuff and like what it means.
And it's an episode literally faced perfectly. We see everybody getting their worst nightmare. Literally all the things they have dreaded is now happening. The ultimate family face-off between Walt Skyler and Walter Jr. is as well as a scene has ever been done. Like this, I was so uncomfortable when Walt and Skyler were just on the floor wrestling, and you just see the camera just like a close-up view of the knife just like wiggling around, and like there's Walter Jr. and there's a baby in the room. Like, what's gonna happen with this fucking knife? And just you're just so anxious that whole time, and just the one last time, like Walter, like what the hell is wrong with you guys? We're a family, and we just see Walter Jr. and Skylar scared to death of Walt. Like this is what was always going to happen. This was always going to happen. This was always the possible future if they ever found out everything that you did. And of course, it all happens because of his ego. And like this is what he deserves, exactly what he deserves. And yeah, I mean, the one thing I am kind of wondering at the end of this, and maybe I don't know, do part of us think that Heisenberg kind of died when Hank was killed?
Yeah. Well, no. I get where you're coming from. Like the chasing ego side is dead. The getting even side of Heisenberg is not dead. That's the difference. But I totally agree with like that bullet going into Hank was when he did the shelter. That spot was split finally. Like his actions had real consequences, and it was one thing that he could not get himself out of.
Yeah.
And he cost it. But like the revenge
side
of
all
Walt,
that's left is the anger and the revenge.
yeah.
Like
but the revenge side of Heisenberg is fully
like when he had to tell Jesse about Jane, because he was just so mad at Jesse at that point. It was like I'm gonna hurt you, and I know the one way to truly just destroy you. Because he's fighting with the guys as they're dragging him off, but as soon as he tells them that, he just goes limp, and then they just drag him off.
Because that's Heisenberg to a T.
Mm-hmm.
He says it in the exact same tone that he says "Say my name."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I mean,
because I honestly don't believe Walt is in there anymore.
It is, but Heisenberg, I don't think would have left behind Holly.
No, right? No.
Like,
well, here's my right. I get where you're at, but I'm saying like Heisenberg has a family. Heisenberg has situational stuff. Like Heisenberg's plan to like call and give the stuff, still a Heisenberg move. Like I know why he took credit for Hank Schrader instead of like throwing the other, because that'll be later. We'll talk about it when the season finale. Because he could have easily given that situation up, but he knows that if he does, they know who his family is, so he can't. So he has to bite the bullet and has to take it. So
yeah, I think it's almost like prior to this episode, it's either he's Walt or he's Heisenberg, and he's able to separate the two. But this it merges the two characters into one. It's got the elements of both characters.
He's Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. He's fully together. Now. Like,
yeah, now it's just
the switch can be flipped at any way. But like when he's on the phone and he's talking, and they talk about Hank and the emotion that he feels towards Hank, he breaks down while he's trying to describe. Like he's trying to sell it.
Yeah,
like you'll never see him again. But he's breaking down because he's like, my actions literally got Hank killed. But the thing we don't really discuss either, too, Hank got himself killed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Hank was, as obsessed as Walt was with his empire, Hank was just as obsessed with getting him.
Yeah. He could have gone to the case at any time.
He could have turned the case in, but he wanted to be the one. He even made the joke with Gomez. He's like, you or me? This is you, partner. Like, he knows the answer's coming.
And they pretty much know they get him at that point. He could have had a whole group of people coming to meet them out there.
Nope, didn't matter, because he wanted to be the one. That's why he left Gomez there.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I'll call Tribal Police when I'm leaving.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he wants to be the one to bring in Walt. He wants to bring in the Heisenberg. And when they're both sitting at that Mexican restaurant, it could have been the end of it all. Walt was out, the situation was gone. Jack and them were in their own situation. They were doing it. It was separate. It was done.
Mm-hmm. I will say too that there's a couple episodes this season where like Walt like does some stuff and he's coughing up blood and like the cancer will get to him, but after that stressful day and then pushing that barrel through the desert for who knows how long, he managed to do pretty good with that. But I guess that maybe the adrenaline was kicking in for him. So
yeah, I think he's just like when he like dug in the morning all the way to night.
Oh, yeah.
Like his energy was there. Like yeah, but I agree. Like he was going to pass out, but
maybe he just took a big nap when he got in the van.
And if anything, like I think these next two episodes are like I don't believe this is the best episode, obviously, but I think the way they put a bow on this is just brilliant.
It's got some, yeah. I just kind of want to bring out that point because I do feel like we see more melding in here. This is probably the most human we've seen Walt up into this point, and I feel like it was at least something worth bringing up, just at least in terms of how Walt has changed over time.
It's like the character, like he is. I've said it before. He is my favorite thing in media because he is such an interesting character study. Because he is 180% different than when we meet him the very first time, and his back and forth with bouncing between that character and coming in is so fascinating. I feel like you could just do studies on him, like why he ticks the way he ticks. Like you know why he ticks basically. Like the man has been overlooked and overshadowed his entire life. When he's describing the $5,000 for the gray matter, $5,000, it's worth billions. Mm-hmm. And now he's got an opportunity to make up that for what he lost. And he ain't going to go out. And then, again, he calls a guy to save him, which he was going to, but he risks it all for Hank because his family means actually that much to him. Mm-hmm. And it cost him his family and his money. And now the way he looked at Jack, the way he wouldn't look at Jack, we know exactly. He may be getting in that van. He ain't done. So, yeah, that is the show. Next week, we end it all. Fucking 7 hours of The Wire. Basically, they don't know how to do a cut episode. So we got a 50-minute episode and an hour and 30-minute episode.
Things like hour.
And then fucking Oz has got a normal episode and a fucking almost 2-hour episode. And then Breaking Bad has like 250 minutes. So, but we will wrap up the season 1. I guess. I don't know. Have we announced our shows for season 2?
I think maybe we'll save that for the our last episode when we do the El Camino and wrap everything up, and we'll tease that we'll announce because we've already announced the mini series as we're going to do in between. Yeah.
Band of Brothers, Chernobyl, and 11/22/63. Mm-hmm. And then we'll do our recap show, and then after that I'll just tease it here. More episodes than these. More seasons and more episodes in the next 3. So we will catch you next in 2 weeks. Peace.